Welcome everyone to Bonifabcustom. Today we're going to go through the setup and break-in process of the ribbon burner forge, the do-it-yourself kit. We'll go through how to set up this gas fitting, what regulator I can use. Now, I am not a gas fitter, that's why none of my forges come with gas fittings. This is just what I use and just my opinion of how I set it up. So let's get right into getting this forge set up. Now the ribbon burner forges come with this type of ribbon burner. It has a taper on all sides, so it fits in snugly into the taper into the top refractory. And the ribbon burner can go either way. It's really up to you which side you have the gas on or the air inlet, and it's just going to fit in there like that. It doesn't actually fit all the way to the bottom. It stays about ½ an inch or something away from the top refractory. So let's take a look at the regulators that we can use on this ribbon burner. So one type I use is basically goes to 10 psi. This regulator here has a little gauge on the front of it. And this one here is very similar, it just doesn't have a gauge on it. It has my gas inlet fitting for my propane, and it has a rubber line made for gas, and this one has a 1/4 ID, so I can fit it onto my fitting on the ribbon burner. And you can also use something very simple like this ball valve right onto the tank, and again with a 1/4 inch ID fitting. You can go up to 5/16. You're going to need a hose clamp also for the barb on the ribbon burner. But I'll show you how both of these run, but they actually run perfectly either way. As for air for the blower, I'm actually using this a small shop vac, and I have it set on reverse, so it's actually pushing air out of this part. And I have this small hose, and put the hose into the end of the ribbon burner, and I'm going to want to seal that, so I just use some electrical tape around this. This part here of the ribbon burner, it doesn't get hot at all, especially because there's air blowing through it. And you could be using different types of vacuums. Now, as soon as you start getting into something with a lot more pressure, you're going to have to try and bleed off that pressure because it might be too much pressure going into the ribbon burner. And I'll show you how you can tell if it's too much pressure, we're going to have the flame blowout on us. But I use this very small vacuum that works perfectly. And if you have, or if you want to put a solid blower on here, like one that's not going to come off and you're not going to move this ribbon burner, you're going to have to tell me beforehand so I can put a longer fitting. So instead of having the barb here, the fitting actually comes down and the fitting's back here, so you don't get that heat soak and it doesn't melt that tube that's on the end of this ribbon burner or the barb on there. I have a upgraded ribbon burner also, and it has an air bleed like this that you can regulate the air no matter what that pressure is coming in from your vacuum or your blower unit. But unfortunately, the do-it-yourself kit doesn't come with this upgraded ribbon burner. You would have to ask for that. And then I'm going to hook up the hose with the barb on the barb. And I have this small hose clamp. I'm going to want to tighten that. Make sure that's secure on there. And now, I know this vacuum works, so I know that I don't have to bleed off any air. So I'm gonna put some electrical tape around here, just to ensure that stays on. And I'll put some on here just to hold the hose out of the way. Now for starting up my forge, I use just a propane torch, and make sure you have some gloves on and a shield, especially gloves, so when it starts. Now you can also put a piece of paper in there if you wanted to and light it. I just use a propane torch. It just makes my life easier. You're going to want to turn on the vacuum or your blower first, and then your gas. So it should ignite. If it blows out, that means you probably have too much air pressure coming in. You're going to want to bleed off some of that air pressure. If you have a regulator, make sure it's turned down so you're not starting with a lot of gas coming into the ribbon burner. So let's turn on the vacuum and then the gas. About 4 to 5 inches long, the flame, and it is burning now along most of the ribbon burner. So I'm just gonna stay there with my pressure. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit, and then I'm gonna start my process of breaking in the refractory. Okay, so now we have our flame that burns mostly in the complete ribbon burner. So next we want to start breaking in the refractory, the top cast refractory and the actual ribbon burner refractory. So it's a 4-step. The first step is we're going to run this for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to take the burner out, we're going to put it aside, and we're going to let it cool for about an hour. Okay, so we had it running for about 5 minutes. We're gonna take out the ribbon burner and we're just gonna set it on the side here, like that. And we're gonna wait about an hour, let it cool down, and then we're gonna put it back in and we're gonna do another run. So now that we got it to cool down a little bit for about an hour, we're gonna start the second part of the break-in, and we're gonna run it for 15 minutes and let it cool down for at least 2 hours. So let's turn it on. So for the third part of this, getting this ready for forging temperatures, is I want to get this running again at about for about 20 to 25 minutes straight, and then I'm going to cool it down. I'm going to remove this ribbon burner again and let it cool down to room temperature. You can let it run at room temperature for a few hours or so, but as long as it cools down completely. And then the step 4 is you're ready for forging temperatures. Now, one more thing I wanted to explain about using a shop vac. Most shop vacs will have their air, it's very turbulent, it's actually spinning as it goes inside, and it causes one side of the ribbon burner to burn more than the other side. Now, originally my shop vac, I've had a baffle inside, so I just wanted to show you what else you can do to make a quick baffle. And I'm just using a piece of steel, 1/16, and I cut 2 slots inside the tube, and I just put it in there like that. And now I'll find that when the air goes in, it'll equally be distributed throughout the ribbon burner. Okay, so let's start this up and let's run for a good 20 to 25 minutes. Of the oven, still cool to touch. Burner. We need that's coming out. It's concentrated on the inside there. That's why it's insulated like that. You put some doors on the front and back, or some brick, and that's when you're gonna really get some high temperatures inside there. Thanks again for watching Bonifabcustom as we went through the gas setup and the air setup for this do-it-yourself weld kit ribbon burner forge that I offer. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to ask. Email me at bonifabcustom@gmail.com and I'll do my best to answer those questions about your setting up of your forge. Thanks again for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you later on with another video next week.